today I'm going to show you how to do the homework project in Excel Chapter 2 of the Exploring book. The first thing we want to do is, once we're in our My IT Lab course, we want to go to our Chapter 2 folder and open it. And then we want to scroll until we see the homework project. We're going to open it. And when we do, over on the left you'll see download your starting materials, and over on the right is where you upload your completed assignment. So first we're going to download our files. So we're going to click that download button. The instructions you can print or you can open them so that you can have them on the screen while you're going through your project. And then the second file is the actual Excel file that we're going to complete the project in. So we're going to download it. And it will open, and when it opens we want to make sure that we save it. If you're using a flash drive, make sure that you save it to your flash drive. If you're using your home computer, you can save it into My Documents folder or wherever you want to save it. When the file first opened, it's going to tell you that it found a circular reference in the workbook. Right, we're going to fix that as we go through the instructions. So when you first open the file, click OK. And then let's go to File, Save As. I'm using my personal computer, so I'm going to save it onto my computer. And I want to save it into my Excel Chapter 2 folder in my CPT 274 class. And I always like to change the name of the file. It tells you in your instructions to save it to Exploring EO2 Greater H1 Last First. I'm going to change my name to Homework. And I'm going to say Homework Chapter 2 as my file name. Right? And then once it's saved, I know it's on my flash drive or it's on my computer, so I can continue editing the file. Alright, instruction number 2 tells us create a named range for cells A18 through C20. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to highlight A18 through C20. Now there are two ways that you can name a range. Actually, there are more than two ways, but I'm going to show you two. The long way is that you go to the Formulas tab once you've selected your range. You click on the Formulas tab, you go to Define Name, and then you type in the name you want. Make sure that before you hit OK, that down at the bottom where it says Refers to, that it has the correct range in there. That's the first way. The second way is to go up here to your name box, which is above column A. So once you've highlighted your range, you can click in the name box and you can type the name you want to give it. And in this instance, we're going to name it Membership. And then once you type in the range name, hit Enter. Right? If you click off of the range, click anywhere else in your worksheet, and then you go back up here to the the name box, you can click that drop down arrow, and you can click on Membership. That's the only range that you've named. Click Membership, and then it will highlight where you named that range. So that's just a double check so that you can go back through and double check and make sure it is exactly the range that you wanted. All right, number 3. Insert a function to enter the current date in cell B2. So we're going to go to cell B2. We're going to click in it. And for this one, we're going to use the Today function. So remember, every function or formula starts with an equal sign. So we're going to do equal, in all caps, the word today, and then an opening parentheses and a closing parentheses. There shouldn't be anything inside of the parentheses. And then hit Enter. And that puts today's date in that cell. Number 4, in cell B5, in cell C5. So we're going to click in cell C5 under Cost. Insert a function to display the basic annual membership cost of the first client. So before we do anything, let's look at this. The first client, whose last name is Andrews, has a deluxe membership. And if we go down to the bottom, we see that the deluxe membership down here in B18 is $575. Right? We could type $575 in there, but that's not what we want to do. We want to do a VLOOKUP formula to put the cost in there. So to do that, if you know how to do VLOOKUP, you can just type it in the cell. If you don't, you can go up to the Formulas tab, and on our function library, VLOOKUP is a lookup and reference formula. So we're going to click on that. And if we look down here, we see VLOOKUP, and that means vertical lookup. So we're going to click on VLOOKUP. The lookup value, or where it tells us what type of membership it is in cell B5. We see B5 is deluxe, so that tells us the type of membership. So we're going to type B5. And then the table array is going to be the range that we named. So we're just going to type in the range name, membership. Now, should you be able to go down and highlight the range A18 through C22 and put it in there? Yes, you should be able to. However, if you do it that way and you submit your file, it takes off points for that. So we're going to use the range name for our table array. So table array is membership. The column index, if we look down here, we see that column 2, this is our VLOOKUP table, we see that column 2 is the one that contains the cost. A is column 1, B is column 2 here, C is column 3. So column 2 contains the cost, so our column index is going to be the number 2. And then for range lookup, in Excel, if you want an exact match, if you want the lookup function to find an exact match in that range lookup box, you have to type the word false. And we want an exact match, so we're going to type the word false, and then hit OK. And then in C5, you'll see that it puts $575, which if you look down into B18, a deluxe membership does cost $575. So it did return the right value. Now, in number 5, insert a function in cell E5. So we're going to click over here on E5 to calculate the total amount. And it tells you the function should add the cost of membership plus, if applicable, the locker fee. So if they have a locker fee, then we have to add that to the membership cost. Right? The locker column displays yes for clients that rent lockers. So if we look in column D, we can see that the first client, Andrews, does rent a locker. So we have to add the locker cost to his membership cost. So in E5, we're going to have what is called an if statement. And what we're going to see is if this person has a locker fee, then we have to add it to the membership cost. If that person doesn't have a locker fee, their total is just going to be the membership cost because they won't incur the locker fee. So, in E5, if you know how to do an if statement, you can type it in. If you don't, again, you can go up to the Formulas tab, and an if statement is a logical function, which makes sense. If is a logical question. So we're going to click logical, and we're going to click if, and it opens up your function arguments dialog box. The logical test is D5 yes or is D5 no? So the logical test is going to be D5 equal yes, and we have to put the yes in quotation marks because yes is text. All right? So logical test D5 equals yes in quotation marks. If that's true, we're going to take the membership cost in C5 and we're going to add to it the locker fee. Alright? And the locker fee is shown down in B22. So B22, it tells you the locker fee is $75. And that's the cost of the locker fee regardless of what type of membership you have. So if D5 is yes, then we want it to be C5, which is our membership cost, plus B22. And B22, as I said, is the same fee regardless of the type of membership. So B22 has to be an absolute cell reference, and that means that it's not going to change as we fill things down the column. So value of true is C5 plus B22. B22 is absolute. If it's false, we don't have a locker fee, so the value of false is just going to be the value that's already in column C, so C5. So logical test, D5 equals yes in quotation marks. Value of true, C5 plus B22. B22 is absolute. Value of false, C5. So we're going to click OK. And in E5, it should give us $650, and you can test that. The cost of the membership is $575. There is a locker fee. The locker fee is $75. If you take $575 plus $75, you do indeed get $650. So that function returns the correct result. In column G5, we're going to click in G5. Calculate the total due based on the annual total and years of membership in column F. So the only thing we're going to do here is we're just going to multiply the annual total, which is in column E, by the number of years, which is in column F. So the formula for this is going to be equal E5 times F5. And hit enter. And it returns the value of 650, and if you take the annual total of 650 times 1, you do get 650, so it returns the right value. Alright, then in number 7, it tells us copy the 3 formulas down their respective columns. So we're going to click in C5, and we're going to use our fill handle, and we're going to fill it down through C13. We're going to come over to E5, we're going to use our fill handle and fill it down through E13. And then we're going to come over to G5, and we're going to use our fill handle to fill it down through G13. Alright, you can go back through and you can double check the values that came up in those cells to make sure that they are correct, but I believe that you will find that they are. Alright, so let's go on to instruction number 8. Insert a function in cell H5 to display the amount of down payment for the first client. So we're going to click in H5, and again we're going to use a VLOOKUP function because we want to look up in our VLOOKUP table down here how much our down payment is going to be. So let's go back up to our formulas tab. We know that VLOOKUP is a lookup and reference type of formula, so we're going to click that, and we're going to click VLOOKUP. Alright, our lookup value is going to be B5, right? Because B5 shows us the type of membership, and that's what the down payment is based on. So we're going to go B5. Alright, our table array, again, is our VLOOKUP table, and the name of it is membership. So we're going to use the range name for that. For this one, the column index number is 3, because if you look down here in your VLOOKUP table, the down payment is in column C, and column C is the third column in the VLOOKUP table. So our column index number is going to be 3. And again, if we want to return an exact value, which we do, we want to type false in that range lookup box. So lookup value B5, table array is membership, column index number is 3, range lookup is false. And we're going to click OK. And that should give us $250 in H5. And if you look down here for deluxe membership, the down payment is $250, which is what it returns for us. Alright, instruction number 9. Locate and correct the circular reference for the balance in cell I5. So let's click in I5. And if we look at the formula up here for I5, we see that it says equal G5 minus H5 plus I5. Alright, we're in I5 right now, so we can't have I5 in our formula if that's the cell that we're in. So that's why it's called a circular reference. So we have to get rid of that I5. So to do that, we're going to go up here and we're going to click in our formula bar, and we're going to backspace to delete the I5, because it tells us in our instructions that the balance should be calculated as the difference between the total due, which is in G5, and the down payment, which is in H5. So our formula in I-5 should be equal G5 minus H5. And we're going to hit enter. And that should give us 400. And if you take the total due and you subtract from it the down payment, you do get 400. So that is correct. Instruction number 10 tells us copy the two formulas down their respective columns. So we're going to click in H5. We're going to use our fill handle and fill it down through H13. We're going to click in I5 and we're going to use our fill handle and fill it down through I13. And you can go through and double check those and make sure that they are correct. I realize that in this project there are an extreme number of formulas and functions, and that's why I wanted to do this project for you so that you could see how you enter them and why you enter them. Alright, number 11. Insert a function in cell J5, so we're going to click in J5, to calculate the first client's monthly payment, and then it tells us to use appropriate relative and absolute cell references as needed. Alright, so in J5, the type of formula here is going to be a payment formula or payment function. Alright, because we want to figure out at this interest rate for this many years, at this amount, how much is the monthly payment going to be. So for a payment function, we're going to go up to our formulas tab. A payment function is a financial function. So we're going to click our financial box and we're going to scroll until we see PMT, which is payment. So PMT, we're going to click on it. And functions, arguments, dialog box opens. Alright, for our rate, if we look down here in cell B23, we see that our interest rate is 5.75%. However, that's the interest rate for a year. So we have to find out, since we want monthly payments, we have to find out how much that interest rate would be per month. And to do that, you take the interest rate and you divide it by 12. They've already given us the 12 in B24. So we're going to divide the interest rate by the number of months, which is in B24. So for the rate, we want B23 because B23 is our interest rate. And that interest rate is the same no matter which type of membership we have. So we have to make it an absolute cell reference. So it's going to be $B, $23. And we're going to divide that by B24. And B24 is going to stay the same. There are always 12 months in a year. So we have to make it absolute as well. So our rate is going to be $B, $23 divided by $B, $24. Alright. Our number of periods is our next box. And the number of periods is going to be however many years it is. And our years are in F5, in column F. Alright. But like I said, we've got to find out how many months it's going to be because we want monthly payments. So if we have 1 year, to find out how many months that is, we have to multiply that by 12. Alright? So we know that F5 is where our years are. So we're going to do F5, and we're going to multiply it by B24, which is the number 12. So $B, $24, because again, the B24 is absolute, it stays the same. So for our number of periods, we have F5 times $B, $24. Our present value is our total amount, or our balance. So our balance is in I5. Alright, it's our total after our down payment. We have a total due in G, and then we have our down payment in H, and then we come up with our balance, and that's the amount that we want to finance. So our present value is going to be I5. And then we're going to hit OK. Alright? That comes up as a negative number. It should not be a negative number. Alright? If it were a negative number, that means that the finance company or the bank is going to pay us. And we all know that that doesn't happen in the real world, unfortunately. So we have to find a way to make that a positive amount. Alright? Usually how we do that is we go up to our formula bar, and we want to make the I-5, which is our present value or our balance, we want to make it negative. So in front of that I, we're going to type a minus sign. And then we're going to hit enter. And now your number should be positive. Right? In number 12, it tells us to fill that down the column. So we're going to use our fill handle, and we're going to fill it down through J13. Instruction number 13. Insert a function in cell G14 to total the column. So we're going to click in G14. We're going to go to our auto sum button up here, and we're going to do sum, and we're going to hit enter. Right? It tells us in number 14, fill the function in G14 across the ranges H14 through J14 to add additional totals. So we're going to click in G14, and we're going to use our fill handle to go across. And that gives us our total. Now, our monthly payment total is going to be a funny looking number. It's 352.460066. We're going to leave it that way because we're going to format it in just a little bit. All right, number 15. Insert functions in cells H18 through H22 to calculate basic summary information. All right, so in H18, we want to find the number of new members. And how we're going to do that is we're going to use our count function. Right? So if we go up here to more functions, statistical, and we're going to go down to count. Right? And it tells us our value that we're going to count is B18 through G18. Actually, that's not correct. We want to count the number of members. All right, if we want to do this, if we want to count values, we want to go to column C because that shows our first set of values, because the other column A and column B is text, so we don't want that. So we're going to do C5 colon C13 because those are the members we have listed. Right, and then we're going to hit OK. And it should return a value of 9. Then right under that, in H19, we want to do the lowest monthly payment. So we want to go up to more functions again, statistical. And for the lowest monthly payment, we don't have a lowest function in Excel, but we do have something that's called minimum, and it's abbreviated MIN. So that's what we want to use, and that will return the lowest one, the lowest value. So for our number, for min, we want the range J5 through J13. Right, because that's where our monthly payment is, and it's telling us the lowest monthly payment, and that gives us $12.89, and if you look in column J, you'll see that $12.89 is the lowest one. All right, in H20, we want to do the average monthly payment, so we're going to go to more functions, statistical, average, and still we're using the monthly payment column, so we want J5 to J13 again, and that gives us $39.16. Then in H21, we want the maximum monthly payment. So we're going to go up to more functions, statistical. This time we want to use max for maximum. And again, we want J5 through J13 as our range. Hit enter. And then in H22, we want the median monthly payment. And the median monthly payment is the middle amount. So, again, we want to go up to more functions, statistical. We want to find median. So we're going to click median. And again, our range is J5 to J13. And that should give us a value of $29.55. You can look at those and double check them against yours and see if that's what you got. All right, number 16, format the payments in cells H19 to H22 with accounting number format. So we want to highlight H19, H22, We want to go to our Home tab, and over here we want to do accounting number format. Now the $ here should allow you to do accounting number format, but for some reason when you submit your project to Grader, it doesn't grade that one correctly. So we want to go up here to where it says currency, click our drop down arrow and select accounting there. Should work the other way, but I want to make sure that you get the points you deserve. So make sure that you don't use the $ and you go up and select it from the drop down list. Alright, number 17, format the column headings on row 4 and 17 to match the fill color in the range E17 through H17. I'm going to click in H17 because if I click E17 through H17 and do Format Painter, it's also going to format it as the bold that shows there for summary statistics. And I don't want that. I just want the fill color. So I'm going to click in H17. I'm going to go up to my Format Painter and I'm going to double click it. And I'm double clicking it because I have two different ranges that I have to apply that color to. So I'm going to select A4 through J4, and I'm going to select A17 through C17, and that puts in the fill color. And then I'm going to click my escape key on my keyboard to take off that flashing border that's on H17, and that also takes off my Format Painter. Number 18, format the cells G5 through J5 and G14 through J14 with accounting number format. So I want G5 to J5. I want it to be accounting number format. So I'm going to use my drop down arrow, make it accounting. And I want 0 decimal places, so I have to go up to my decrease decimal button and hit it twice because it gave me 2 decimal places. I want to take those off, so I have to hit it 2 times to take off 2 decimal places. And then I'm going to go down through to G14 through J14 and also do it. Use my drop down arrow to make it accounting number format. Decrease my decimal button twice. And then it tells me that in number 19 it says apply comma style to the range G6 through J13. So I want to highlight G6 through J13 and I want to come up here and click comma. I also want I don't want any decimal places, so I have to decrease my decimal twice. Alright, that completes the project. Make sure that you save it, and then you can go and submit it. If you have any trouble submitting it, or if it grades it and you feel that your grade is not correct, please email me and let me know, and I will go back through and look at it to make sure that it did indeed grade it correctly. Otherwise, if you have any other questions, please email me. Please know that the assessment project is much more simple than this project. You don't have anywhere close to the number of formulas and functions that you did in this project. But still, if you have questions over the assessment, email me those as well. Otherwise, I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you.